Hey everyone, I'm John Sisson, and today we're taking a look at the Sony 500mm f4 G series lens for the Sony A-mount system. Now, I'm really excited to try out this lens, and I'm actually using it on the A99 Mark II, so in terms of speed and performance, it should actually be top notch. If you're curious to see what's in the box of this lens, please feel free to click the link at the top of the video, or you can click the link in the description below. Just to give you some brief background information about the lens, it is the most expensive lens that Sony currently offers for both the A-mount and the E-mount, and I believe its recommended retail price is about $15,000 or around that price. And it is also the longest telephoto prime lens that Sony currently offers for sport and wildlife photographers. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the lens, showing you its features, what these switches do, and of course, I'm going to show you what I've been able to capture with this lens. So stay tuned for that. And at the end of the video, I'll let you know what I personally think of it. This lens is made with the highest quality materials, which is expected when you consider how much this thing actually is. It's built with a professional and enthusiast photographer in mind, so expect it to be dust and moisture resistant. There is a focus distance window, a badge indicating that the lens is indeed a 500mm f4 lens, a rubber focus ring, strap holders to prevent the lens from dropping, and 4 focus hold buttons every 90 degrees at the end of the lens. The lens accepts 42mm filters by using a plug-in system. All you need to do is push the silver knob down on the lens and turn it to release it. If you want to switch out your filters, a polarizing filter does come supplied with the lens if needed. A number of useful switches for different settings on the lens is available to suit your preferences. The AF/MF switches between autofocus and manual focus. Next to it is DMF, which stands for direct manual focus. Setting it to standard means that while you are half pressing the shutter button, you can fine-tune your focus by rotating the focus ring only in AFA or AFS modes on your camera. Switching to F-time, which is full-time DMF, basically is the same thing as standard, but with the addition of using this in continuous autofocus. The next row of switches is to do with the focusing distance. Switching the lens to full indicates that you are using the lens's full focusing range. Switching to the middle means that you are limiting the focusing range from 6.4 meters to infinite, and the last option is called set. This will allow you to use the switch on the right to allow you to focus on something near or far. And when you select one or the other, a beep will sound when the focus is set. The focus hold switch allows you to use the focus hold buttons to keep focus on a particular subject, and not change when you press the shutter button. Although this can be customized for different settings depending on the model of the camera you have. Pre-focus basically stores your focus for a particular distance. When you press set, it stores your focus distance, which can be used at any other time. Now when you focus on something else and need to focus again on what you set it at, you can use the focus hold buttons to instantly revert back to what you set your focus on. And lastly, the final switch is to turn on and off the audio beep from the lens. The lens is supplied with a carbon fiber barrel type lens hood, which is very expensive to replace, so definitely take care of it and don't lose it. It also has rubber on the tips and has felt lined within to reduce any reflections. To mount it, slip the lens hood over the front of the lens. Once that is done, tighten the screw and ensure it is firmly attached. Of course, you're thinking this lens is fairly heavy, and indeed it is. It actually weighs about 3.46 kilos, and that's without the tripod mount. So my number one recommendation, definitely use a tripod or a monopod that can handle the payload. Now I'm using a fairly old tripod, but it still does a decent job, and it still allows me to get the shots, just without much flexibility. One thing that I like about this lens is when I change the orientation from landscape to portrait, there's a little click every 90 degrees to indicate when the lens is aligned with the camera. Unfortunately, you can't remove the tripod collar, but really, why would you want to? Just a quick note, the tripod collar has 3 screw holes where 2 are different sizes. Also, if you're using this on a tripod, mount it on the lens, not the camera. The lens can focus as close as 4 meters and has an SSM motor built in, otherwise known as a supersonic motor. This basically means that the autofocusing is quick and quiet. However, when I did use it, the motor wasn't as quiet as some of the other lenses that I've used which have SSM. It's not a big deal to me because all I really want is a lens that has extremely fast focusing for action shots. Now when it comes down to focusing speed, the camera has a part to play in it too. Using the A99 Mark II, which is one of Sony's best autofocusing cameras, was able to assist in getting some extremely accurate shots, and not only that, it was great with tracking too. Alright, so with the 500mm, it is compatible with a couple of teleconverters from Sony, and that is the 1.4 times and the 2 times teleconverter, which I have in my hand. Now, it's best not to get confused because Sony have teleconverters for both the A mount and the E mount. If you do intend to use a teleconverter for this lens, you need to get the SAL 2 times teleconverter, not the SEL. So hope you don't get confused with that one because that'll be a bit annoying. But with this one, you do get 1000 millimeters because it's doubling your focal length. But the trade-off is that you do lose autofocusing capabilities and you lose a couple stops of light. Now with the 1.4 times teleconverter, you don't lose as much light, but you still get the benefit of having autofocusing. So with this one in my hand, I'm only going to be using manual focus for a couple of my shots. For a super telephoto lens, you may be surprised that optical stabilization is not built in, but there is a good reason for this. Since this lens was originally catered to A-mount users, stabilization is built into the body of the camera. While it is effective at this focal length, a tripod is definitely still needed. I did happen to use this on the A7R Mark II camera with both the LAEA3 and LAEA4 adapters. I found the lens performed best on the LAEA3, where the camera was able to utilize its own 399 focusing points, rather than the LAEA4, where it had its own 15-point autofocusing system. The lens is outstandingly sharp wide open, although when I did use it with a 2 times teleconverter, the sharpness dropped quite substantially. I had a lot of fun using it for both sports and wildlife photography, and had a lot of keepers when I was shooting with it. Flare and ghosting was kept to a minimal thanks to its nano AR coating. There was some vignetting when shooting wide open, and chromatic aberration was also non-existent from what I've seen with this lens. Out of focus blur was pleasing, but I wouldn't say the best, although this is more of a matter of personal preference. All of these photos were shot with the A99 Mark II in RAW and converted to JPEG. While I'm not a professional photographer, if I were and needed a long telephoto lens and was rich, I would definitely have this lens on my list. I did manage to shoot a few videos with this lens, and while it gets you really close to the action, it's not a lens that I feel a lot of people will use for filming. As you would expect, the focusing was quick, and with the focal length of this lens, I was able to isolate my subjects from the background. Now the 500mm f4 G series is a beast of a lens, and I absolutely loved using it. Paired with the A99 Mark II, the focusing was extremely fast, and I can imagine it being just as fast on the A77 Mark II. Now, if you do intend to use it on any E-mount cameras, you're going to need either the LAEA3 or LAEA4 adapters. And I did use it on the A7R Mark II for a brief period, and while the focusing was fast, it just wasn't as fast when compared to using it on the A-mount cameras. Now the lens is capable of capturing some unique images, and while it's great to see a professional lineup of lenses coming from Sony, it just obviously falls short when compared to Canon or Nikon. But again, it's still great to see that they have these sort of lenses available for shooters. And I think it's safe to say that while this lens produces some great images for sports and wildlife photographers, it's also a very niche lens, and a niche lens that not many people will be able to afford. Not to mention, this lens is very big and heavy to carry around. So again, my number one recommendation is to use a tripod or a monopod that can handle the payload of not just the lens, but the camera itself. Now, if you do intend to get a lens like this, I do not think you'll be disappointed with it, especially with the amount of money that you're going to be paying for it. So with all the features, the build, the focusing speed, and again, the quality of images that you're going to get, if you're an enthusiast or professional photographer, this may be a lens that you may want to add to your kit if you can afford it. Now, if you have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. And if you are lucky enough to own one, let me know what you think of it. And remember to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my channel for more Sony lens reviews and tutorials. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more photo updates and sample photos. And be sure to check the description below for more information about this lens. Until then, happy shooting and thanks for watching. Last one. But if you do find them for the recommended, because it's gonna be so cool. So, the features. You're bugging me. Give you a brief rundown or brief. Now, please feel free to lick.